Welcome everybody to another episode of the CGA podcast, Isolation Special. I'm back with my man Nick Danes once again.
Whoosh.
Over 20 years. And with a very special guest who we've got today. We've got Rob Barker, the Panda, or Panda's Odyssey.
Hey.
Here he is.
Hey.
10 to 9 in the morning.
10 to 9 in the morning, wow.
Ready and raring for your day of lockdown.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I gotta get up and call in at work every morning at 8, so it's not so bad.
What do you do? What do you do, Rob?
I'm an engineer on in the Navy, so.
Oh, right, wow.
Yeah.
You have to do early morning check-ins to make sure it's working all right.
Yeah, see if they need any additional personnel to go down and work on ships. So.
Yeah, so no stopping for you then. So you've been working all the way. Have you been working through the isolation?
Not really. No. We have some ships out for emergency services kind of thing.
Yeah.
But other than that, like the jetties themselves are kind of there's not a lot of contractors working down there, so there's not a lot of work going on. So really, we're on to like a minimal manning. So maybe 1 week out of the month I'm down there working.
Yeah.
So the rest of it I'm just on calling every morning.
Yeah. Have you been managing to try and stay sane over this period?
Oh yeah. I have a routine of working out at home and taking the opportunity to go for long walks at night. And, so
that's about all we can do at the moment, isn't it?
That's it.
Yeah. That's all I can do. Yeah.
I saw you just done about 20,000 press-ups or something in the last.
Yeah, it was 6,000. Yeah.
6,000 in how many days?
That was over 30 days though. So
that's still pretty impressive.
About 300 a day.
Yeah, that's a lot. Nick hasn't done 300 in his life.
Yeah, probably not. You know what? Funny enough, I did do like maybe 30 earlier, actually.
Was that after watching the videos?
Yeah, well, I keep seeing you doing all these push-ups. I'm like, oh, maybe I should do some more.
That's where it all started. Was friends of mine, like I think like the first week that I've been done the lockdown, like in a matter of like 3 days, I had like 5 challenges of people telling me to do push-ups. Okay, so I like just doing it once, doing 30 push-ups or 10 or whatever. I mean, that's not much of a challenge. So I kind of responded with my own challenge of to see who can do the most over 30 days.
Yeah.
And
pretty sure. Beat you?
Sorry?
Did anyone beat you?
No, everyone dropped out after 8 days. So
don't blame them.
Yeah.
It's hard to compete. It's hard to compete with 300 a day.
Well, I guess I don't know. When you go through basic training, you're pretty much doing that every day, right? So and that's for like 3 months. So.
It's nothing.
Yeah, easy.
You know, Nick? Nothing.
Easy work. Awesome. Well, it's really good to have you come on. Like I've been listening to your podcasts and stuff, and obviously following your Instagram account for a while, and thought that like when we started doing this, we both thought it'd be great to have a chat with you, because like you've pretty much done what everyone wants to do, I think, probably in jiu-jitsu, especially those of us who you can't, who are more trapped, I guess, in the 9 to 5 and family and job and paying the bills and all that stuff like you were talking about, and you got to go like Panda's Odyssey to traveling the world.
Yeah, that was that's actually like how it all came around, right? Was realizing I was in a good position to start planning and saving for it. Was but I mean, it came because I was at first like, hey, all my friends have families and kids and stuff now, and I don't, and I was kind of feeling a little lost and depressed, and then realized like, hey, I'm a free man. I can go off and do this crazy trip, right? So yeah, so
That's how it started.
yeah, yeah.
That's
How much
awesome.
planning and that went into it? Because I think you said was it about 37 countries that you went to?
Yeah, yeah. I think it like yeah, but it's 37. Let's see, like, well, I would like, so I was in the Navy back then, um, and I was locked into a 6-year contract. So I think it was in like halfway through, I kind of figured, maybe I won't re-sign for another contract, and kind of started working towards what I should do. And I think I had another like two more years left in the contract that I started saving up and really kind of planning it all out. So I remember talking with Christian, and I sent him an email with this big long like spreadsheet of what I plan on doing, and he was just like, "Okay, good luck with that." You know, and he says like, 2 years later, I'm actually off doing it. He's like, "Oh wow, okay," because I mean, Christian, uh, BJJ Globetrotters, he must get like a lot of emails a day of people with plans that never really go through with them, right? So, but yeah, I mean, I had a few years um, to save up and kind of research, how to backpack, because that was the first thing. It was like, oh wait, I've never really backpacked for a long time, so how do I do this? What do I bring? Right? So,
But you must have had a lot of experience through the Navy and stuff, though, right?
yeah, I mean, I grew up camping, and I grew up, on Army base, so I knew about rucksack marches and what they bring them. But I
Yeah.
mean, there's a big difference between that and you know, uh, just backpacking around the world.
Yeah.
So, um, but yeah, it really did kind of, a lot of it did kind of go back to the old camping days when I was in scouts and stuff, as far as bringing my own personal clothes. But yeah, I kind of did a little bit of research on what I should be bringing for training gear and stuff. And because I mean, there are people who have been doing it before me, right? So,
Yeah.
and then a lot of it was also touch and go and figuring things out on the road and dropping things off or sending things back to my parents. And yeah.
Did you take a bunch of gis with you when you went traveling then, or did you pick up some on the way through? Because they're not easy to pack around. I mean, Nick gave me a bag not that long
Yeah.
ago, and it can pack about 2 gis, and it's absolutely massive.
Mhm. Yeah. So I like so Christian has those the ripstop geese,
Yeah.
the ultralight travel geese.
Yeah.
So I picked a couple of those up, and that's what I had the whole time I was traveling. So
Because they
for
dry
about,
quick as well, right? So if you need to
yeah,
wash them, they'll dry super quick.
yeah. So I mean, like, yeah, I think I've had one dry within like 5 or 6 hours on a
Mm.
sunny day, um, as opposed to 2 days.
Yeah, right. Especially in the
Uh,
winter.
yeah, and they're also like half the weight, right, in size.
Yeah.
So for about 2 years, I never wore a real gi, and then I got home and took out all my gis out of the closet, and it felt like you're
Like a blanket.
yeah, like, it was like, oh, what do you feel like again? Like, yeah, it was weird.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, I know a lot of people that will have just one gi and then some rash guards and shorts, and that's it. Like, I think that's it. Yeah, he just said, Christian said, he's like, you just alternate one day gi, one day no gi, and just kind of switch back and forth as you travel, right? So,
Yeah, I think I'm at my most amount of gis ever at the moment. I think I've got about 4.
Oh,
I think that's the
geez.
most I've ever owned in my life. And I keep people from our club. Someone the other day from our club set a photo out of their dining room table, and they just had like a spread of loads of geese up their dining table. And I was like, oh, it's the dream. It's the dream.
Well, I don't know if you know James Foster in US.
No.
He's a show-year-old guy,
Yeah.
and he has like every gi they've ever made. Plus, they've
Oh
made custom
man.
gis for him. He has. So if you've ever seen, there's like it looks like it's a 3-section closet, 2 rows, and it looks like a bat cave. That's that's his closet. That's his walk-in closet. That's like 100 and some odd gis. Yeah,
Wow.
Oh, it's
yeah.
crazy. I
The
was saying to
most
someone
ever.
else. I was saying to someone else the other day that it was. What do you need that many geese for? I think he had about 12 geese. I was like, what do you need that many for? There's only 7 days in a week. But then I
Yeah,
realised that I wear mine so often that I just wear them out really quickly, so they end up
yeah,
just falling to bits, and then I have to buy new ones. Whereas if I had 12, I could rotate them out easier, and they just
yeah.
last.
I had about 13 at the most at one point, but a couple of them I wasn't wearing. Like I have one that is the whole thing, top and bottom was all this I cover it in all the different gym patches I've got.
Oh, that's
Child
cool.
Yeah.
People call it my NASCAR gi, right? I
Yeah.
just keep it around to show off, but so it doesn't really count. But
Nick's
yeah.
got a gi like that. He's got a gi that's like a NASCAR driver one. Is that a show you roll one?
Which one?
The one
Mine.
with all the patches.
Yeah, I took those off though.
Ah,
Most of them off. I left a couple of patches on the front and then put some other patches on. I think Dan Biddle's got one that's like super covered in patches, trousers and jacket and everything.
what a great idea though. Like
It's like
taking all
the
the patches from every club
ornamental
and
gear.
putting it on one gi. I think that's awesome.
Yeah. I remember when I first started it, I was actually still wearing it as I was starting it, and I was just kind of putting them like the different clubs down the arms.
Yeah.
And I went to Atos open. It wasn't open that. It was just the like AJ. No, sorry, Torres was teaching it, right?
Wow.
And
Nice.
JT, and he had a friend visiting there who's a black belt. He walked up to me and he was like, "Is there a place you don't train at?" Looking at my arms. And then I explained to him, I was just traveling and I was down there for work and I was picking a new gym every day kind of thing. He
Yeah.
totally understood it. As soon as I said I was just traveling, he's like, "Oh, I get it."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I have one at home, yeah. So
Was that in California? Was it? Because there must
yeah,
be
that was
a ton of gyms down there.
yeah, that was Govo's. Like that's the HQ. That was geez, that was 5 years, 6 years ago, something like that. Yeah, it was a
Right.
while ago, just before he left. Yeah.
There must have been so many gyms to choose from down there. It's pretty much like the Mecca now, isn't it? Really, it's like where all the
Yeah,
best guys in the world are.
yeah, it's a great place to go to. My friend from Australia, Luke, who runs free rollers, which is kind of he does these little camps. They're smaller groups,
Oh, cool.
like 10 of us or so,
Yeah.
and he started with bringing a group from Australia over to San Diego, and I met up with them there. And now he does a few camps elsewhere as well. And it's always I've been down to San Diego a few times now and hit up all the gyms, and it's always a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's tons there, right?
Yeah.
So
Tons and tons there.
no
I guess
no
it's where the
shortage
money's
of,
at, though, right? It's like that.
yeah,
It's always going to go where the money is, and
yeah,
it seems to be a bit of a hub in that area of the world to go and train.
yeah, yeah.
Was it expensive to train out there, or?
Um, See, it's the standard kind of drop in is kind of universal. And I don't know if that's because of like in San Diego, you're looking from $30 up for like a day pass, right?
Yeah.
so you can go to all their classes for 24 hours. So like the morning, that lunchtime, the afternoon, like depending on where you go. I think Actos might be the most expensive, but that's because they have like 8 hours of classes a day, right?
Right.
So
Is that their newest facility that you went to, or was it their old place?
it's the oldest one, the older one, I think. It was
Right, yeah.
back
The
in the
new
day.
one looks absolutely incredible, that new facility.
Yeah, haven't
Beautiful.
been to that one yet, but yeah, like all the other ones, like everyone's just pretty standard, right? From $30 a day up.
Yeah. Did any of them let you train for free? Because I know we're a lot out here in the sticks, and we're a lot smaller club. But generally, like when travellers come through, I think the kind of policy is just let them train for free if they're travelling around.
Yeah, it depends on where. Like in San Diego, it's kind of going to be hard to find a place that like just because it's such a busy place.
Right. Yeah.
So a lot of the times, you're paying a mat fee to go roll.
Yeah. Otherwise,
So,
someone could just do what you kind of did, train everywhere every day, and then just
yeah,
never have to pay. By the time they've gone around all the gyms, they get back to the first one, they've forgotten who they are, and then they're just
yeah.
never paying for any.
Well,
stuff.
like when I was in Europe and stuff, I was a lot of more open like places to like they didn't care, come
Wow.
in, have a roll with everyone. It's a lot of fun. Not really having to not really looking to make all their money off of people visiting, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, when you're in a place like San Diego where every gym's like a world champ running it, right? That's what
Yeah.
their
True.
money
Yeah.
is, right? So
Got
yeah,
to make some money, haven't they?
8 hours of classes in a day, I guess that's like you're just going to set yourself out to do what you want to do, and at least half of it or whatever to try and you
Get
get
your
your money.
money's worth. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and yeah, like there's a lot of people that's what their goal is to go to that gym for like that for a week, whatever, do kind of like a training camp
Yeah.
as a vacation or whatever, right? So you know, and really, if you can spend the day training, like $30 isn't so bad, right?
No.
And if you break it down to like $10 an hour training
Yeah.
with world champs, it's really not so bad, right?
No,
So
you could spend $30 in a bar in 20
yeah,
minutes.
yeah, yeah.
It's not bad at all.
For sure.
So what got you started? What did you do? Did you start jiu-jitsu in the Navy?
No, I started martial arts back when I was like a kid. 13. Um, I was getting into a lot of fights in school,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like basically like a classic old movie, right? Like my mom had enough of me and threw me into boxing when I was 13, and she gave me this old guy, Bud. Bud was like a retired army guy that like he was basically like a heavy set Mickey, right? He had that gravel voice, and it's like, we'll box the fight out of your tiger, right? And just from 13 to 15, yeah, I was in the boxing ring twice a week, and just being killed by circuit training and just hitting the bags all the time. And then like I stopped fighting at school, right? And then when I turned 16, I ended up going into that's when my friend brought me into jiu-jitsu on base, and it was like traditional Japanese jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of stand fighting,
Mm-hmm.
weapons, and then there was some ground techniques, and that's when I kind of first started learning, Brazilian jiu-jitsu. But it was from the kind of the old Kojin. I think that's like the jiu-jitsu we were teaching or learning kind of came from the Kojin judo route, right? The
Yeah.
combat judo part, because we had a lot of throws and we had a lot of groundwork.
Yeah.
And then when I moved to the city for college, and later on when I joined the military, that's when I kind of got or back into martial arts and got into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, right?
Yeah.
And
Did they run a program in the Navy then? Did they?
now in Canada, just last year, I guess it started having more of a actual like grappling being recognized as a sport within the Navy.
Yeah. Wow. Cool.
So where I grew up, when I was a kid, there was a few different places for martial arts, but nothing was official through military.
Right. Yeah.
And for the last, I think, 6 or 7 years, there is an officer back home that he got what did he say? He started in karate, got his black belt in karate, was posted to Japan, got a black belt in judo in Japan,
Nice.
and then picked up Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So it was like he basically just kept looking for a harder belt to train in.
Yeah.
And so he has been pushing he's kind of put it on his own, like on the base, having a combative grappling tournament. And then after 5 years, it's been picking up and being like national throughout Canada. And then just last year, they actually, the gyms and all that stuff started recognizing jiu-jitsu and all that stuff as a recognized sport. So now, yeah, we have, but it's still kind of on our own. Like it's still young. So like we have a group out here, but it's just run by us, right? So
Right,
it's
yeah.
on our own. It's not official. The gym itself doesn't have like an instructor there running classes.
Right.
It's kind of word of mouth, getting together and putting it together, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, a few more years, be more structured and whatnot.
Definitely,
But
yeah.
yeah,
That's
it's
how it
been pretty
starts,
cool.
isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's been really cool watching the last 5 years it grow
How it
and
develops, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough, like when we started our little club about 10 years ago. So I joined about a year after the club opened. So I've watched it go from like training in a small church hall going to like a full-time facility now. So
Nice.
it's cool. It's cool to see the progression, and it does take a bit of time, but now it's busy, and like compared to there was like 10 people in a class at the most in the church hall, and now we're getting like 30, 40 people on the mats, like on some nights. So it's pretty cool to see that progression, and it just take a little bit of time, doesn't it? That's what it is.
Yeah,
It takes guys like yourself to continue to run the classes and keep it up.
Yeah, like it really, like our sport really comes down to like being a representative, right, an ambassador of it, right? So I mean, you can put out all the advertisements you want, but it's you as a person that's going to get those people through the door, right?
Yeah.
So like me, like the gym I train at Fierce, I have, I think, 3 or 4 guys that I got from the military that I was sailing with, and I was always talking about training and getting the gyms.
How many times did you have to choke them out before they listened?
None. It was, I mean, after that first class, when I brought them out and show them the class, then they realized like, hey, yeah, this is a lot of fun, right?
Yeah.
So
he wasn't lying. This is worth it.
Yeah, it is worth it. Yeah.
I think though it was also it's like my demeanor at work is different from the usual person that's kind of down and salty, as they say, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, why are you happy, right? I'm like, well, I get to go and cook people. So yeah.
Cheers. It cheers me up when I get to choke Nick out, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, you tend to take pictures of my face.
Makes me happy. I've got a collage at the moment that I'm building of all Nick's faces in different chokes as he's being choked.
I have a photo album somewhere around here. Actually, friends of mine at the gym, they've been doing that for forever, taking pictures of me whenever I get. So when I left before my travels to go backpack around the world, they gave me a photo album of it, and every page is them choking me out, right? So it was like, so I'm like, oh, thanks. Yeah.
This will remind you of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
What to come back to. Yeah.
What
How
was
did you
the
plan your journey then from the start? Like, was it planned around jiu-jitsu, or was it places that
Yeah.
you wanted to go, or was it kind of like a bit of both? And then you kind of, or was it just randomly around the world, or did you pick a start point and then go, I'm going to do a loop, or how did it
So I had done a couple travels before. See. So there was places I wanted to go and hit in Europe, and Asia, that I was like, okay, like, so my friend and I, we've been talking forever as kids when Street Fighter 2 came out, and there's the cartoon series Street Fighter 2 V or something like that, and it's literally the whole series of is Ken and Ryu traveling around the world, learning different martial arts to be the best fighter. And like, so we're teenagers and we're talking about that back in the day, like where would I go, right? So I mean, going to Thailand was always a place, going to Japan was always a place, right? And so when I first started planning things out and saying, I want to go and travel the world, and to me, I just want to go and see Europe and Asia because I've never been over there. I started getting people kind of contacting me. So my friend Luke in Australia said, come on, buy us. So I had to plan Australia out. I have a friend I grew up with who's living in New Zealand, so add that in. A friend in Singapore. That's, I guess, one benefit of living in a big city like Toronto or living on an army base is that people spread out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I was talking to a guy who lives I think he's down in Jersey in US, and he's Russian. And he's like, no, I have friends you can go see in Russia. So I started looking into how you get a passport for Russia. That was my first step. That's my very first page in my passport is the Russian
Really?
visa.
So that's where you went first? You started in Russia?
No. So the whole thing was so I planned my whole trip going across Canada. So I had a ticket leaving Canada, going over to London for, I think it was like March 4th or something like that. And then I had like a visa for June in Russia. And then in between that was kind of like, okay, I'm going to plan out. I kind of had a rough plan of how to snake around all of Europe and get there.
Yeah.
And then I was supposed to go, I went down to Morocco in May for my birthday, there at the Casablanca. So yeah, I kind of pieced things together and had like a month in between. I was like, okay, I have to get from this spot to that spot.
Yeah.
And then, I just worked like about a month ahead of time talking to people. And it's kind of universal. It's like the universal jiu-jitsu attitude is like, just get a hold of me when you get in town.
Yeah, turn up at my door and I'll talk to
you.
Yeah, travel all the way over to my country and then I'll say hi and we'll just you're like, I need to
yeah. And it was always, well, I don't have a place where you can crash, but there's a cheap hostel around the corner. Or it's, just let me know when you'll be in town. I have a spot on the floor or something, right? And it's always very, very laid back, right? It's very I'm just like, I don't know what's going on. I'm like, I'm in town. Where are you?
I think that's partly, especially that's quite typical in Europe, I think. Like you turn up and people are probably just like, yeah, I'll be there in a minute. Like they can't, they don't like, there's no like.
Brazilian way just filtering through
Yeah.
the jiu-jitsu guys. It's just like, yeah, well, everyone's always late. Nothing starts on time. You know, just come see me when you're here. It will be fine. That's all. That attitude.
Yeah, no sense talking about something that's 2 weeks out kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like in Canada, but certainly over here, when I first started doing jiu-jitsu and we had like Brazilians with teaching or would come over and do a seminar, that kind of thing, all the English guys are there like 20 minutes before, gi on, ready, you know, kind of looking around. When's he going to turn up? Sort of thing. Like, it's never going to be at the time that is specified. There's always this like, hey guys, I'm here now. You're like, all right, okay. You know, we're very like regimented, kind of like we want to start on time, you know, sort of thing. And it's just not. Just after a while, you learn that that's just not the way that they operate.
Yeah, it's funny. It's kind of like that too. Like I've growing up. Military and whatnot, I'm always, you know, you have to be there 10 minutes early or you're late kind of thing. So I'm always showing up to the gym pretty early and doing my own warm up and stretches.
Yeah, I guess in the military it's like on time is late, isn't it?
Yeah.
On time
exactly.
is late, early is on time.
Yeah. So, you know, you get there early and then you realize the gym's not open yet, right? Class is in 10 minutes and there's no one here. I don't get it. You know,
they only open the doors dead on time, and then anything after that.
Like, oh, class doesn't start at 7. The gym opens at 7.
Yeah.
It's like cultural. You must have seen a lot of different cultures, like, you know, just even timekeeping, punctuality, that kind of stuff. You know, training in Japan, for example. I imagine, in my imagination, Japan's like super on time, super start early, like super scheduled. Everything's very like, you know, Zen type sort of gyms. Or is that what it's like? Or
Japan, I think the coolest thing about Japan is the noontime classes. So a lot of, from my understanding, a lot of businesses kind of have a very long lunch because they let you have that. It's expected to have that time to go to the gym, right? Because a lot of places, a lot of businesses will cover like a gym fee for you, right? So I would hit a lot of those noon time classes up, and you'll see like someone run in, like he's, you know, 5 minutes before class, he runs in his suit, and as he's kicking his shoes off, he's taking his tie off, and he's running, and he's putting on his gi, and jumps in, trains, goes really hard for like an hour and a half, and then as soon as we bow out, he's running back out, ripping off the gi and throwing the suit back on, right? back to work, right? Because it's like a 12-hour workday, right?
Yeah. They got work ethic in Japan.
Yeah. All I want to do after hard sparring is go home to bed.
Yeah.
5 Guys, that's what I want.
Or 5 Guys first. Yeah.
We'll
the one thing
was later. We'll come on to burgers later because I know you've got some interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, the one thing I always bring up about like the different cultures, like in Japan, the different mindset is is cleaning up the gym afterwards. There's a lot of places I found in Japan is just kind of ingrained into the culture, right? That everyone helps out, you know. You know, a clean workplace, you know, it's them, right? So there were some gyms I went to where it was almost like a game, but a competition. But it's like half the class lines up on one side of the gym, and then half lines on the other, and they kind of have races going back and forth cleaning the mats, right? Everyone has a turn. Yeah, the gym goes clean really fast, and you know, they're rather than, you know, more I guess North American gyms, we're kind of like, hey, we need 2 more people here, help out. Everyone's trying to run to the showers or you know, sneak out first, right?
That's right. I think it's a bit.
I've got to go. I've got to go.
Yeah. I'm a bit
Time
hard. It's so late.
10 minutes, so.
I think it's a bit of the same here. I guess if like the attitude is if you pay your subs, then you know they're paying for a service, aren't they? And that service, whether it be a gym, should be clean, and it's probably not their responsibility. But I guess, like I said, when I first started, we were in a little church hall. We had to put the mats out, put the mats back, and before we put the mats back, we'd have to clean the mats. And it was just that's kind of like a bit ingrained now. So it's
What happened to you then, Sam?
now we've got a full-time cleaner, mate. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The janitor.
The janitor, yeah. It's interesting because like that seems like I always think they're efficient as well. So it seems obviously the work day is a long day in Japan, but like say an hour and a half or 2 hours for lunch, you get to go out and get fit, do stuff, do what you want. There's probably not much time in the evening, and I don't know about you, but I like training in the day is awesome. Like I can train during the daytime. That's my preference. But yeah, imagine getting the time where they say, right, you go out, do that work in the middle of your working day, and then come back to work. You're just going to feel much more positive about everything, I guess.
Yeah. I run like a morning class here, and it's funny. So means I have to get up like an hour or more earlier than I already have to for work. So I'm getting up around 4 or 5 because we're having like a 6 a.m. class, right? But I mean, when works let me come in like a little bit later, or even if I'm just coming in on time for work and it doesn't doesn't affect showing up a little later. You would figure, well, if you start your morning off earlier and spend an hour on the mats rolling and training, before you go to work, you're going to be really tired. But it's actually kind of, I feel like it's the opposite, right? Like it re-energizes you, right? Like it gets the blood going, so it gets it wakes you up, and you already feel like you're accomplished something, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So I can imagine like being able to have a noontime class kind of like almost makes it a new day for you, right? Like you're able to go and tackle on our 4 hours, no problem, right? So
I run a 9 a.m. class, and I get lots of messages from people going, "Oh, it's too early. I can't get up to go to my class at 9 a.m. I would, but it's a little bit too early." And I think, do you get a lot of people turn up for your 6 a.m. classes?
I think there's about 5 of us in total. Yeah. And pretty sure
good. It's been me and one other guy rolling in my 9 a.m. class for about 4 weeks. Before COVID, obviously.
It's funny because it just happens that I look at all the people that show up for the morning class, and they're all people that's either military or police, right, that are coming off shift work, right? So they're either just starting or just ending. But yeah, like I try bugging my friend the rest of the class, and everyone's like, "No, I'm sleeping."
I think it's the thought of getting up early, isn't it? Because it's not like it's not, "Oh, I can't be bothered to go training." It's like, "Oh, but then I have to really make sure I go to bed earlier the night before, so I can get up early enough so I'm fresh by the time I get to 6 o'clock."
Yeah, and to a lot of people, having a 6-hour sleep isn't exactly a sleep, right? To them, that's a nap. So.
Yeah, Nick, you hear that? That's a nap.
Okay. So don't forget, my children get up about 5:30. So it's at the moment I'm just shooing them away, like go away. But normally I don't know if I would do that class. I'm a 9. It's so I'm gonna walk the dog, take the kids to school, do their breakfast, all that stuff, and I feel like when I get to work at 9, I feel like I've done a day's work already. But then after another hour of being in work, you just think, no, I don't want to be here either. I want to go and train. So
you do.
But yeah, I get to do that a bit, so that's good. I mean, that's why the daytime's like, because like lots of people, I'm flexible with I've got work to do, but I can get it done at different times. So it's okay to go and do the class on a daytime 12 o'clock for a couple of hours and then like go back and do some more. Then it's a bit more flexible. So I'm lucky in that respect. I think that helps if you've got a bit of flexibility about with your day, your time, your work, that kind of stuff. And actually the shifts, like, cause I know because we as a club have sort of been adding new classes and things in over the years and things, and predominantly they were like Tuesday and Thursday, and then there's now every evening, and there's open mats and there more of those being added. But I still think there's probably room for people who are shift workers and that kind of stuff for some slightly varying times or more frequency of like open sessions, that sort of stuff to like accommodate. I don't think that it would, because I think the argument is that you're potentially taking people away from one class to another class by adding classes. So we say, okay, there's 2 days a week now, 6 a.m. class. I don't think it would be people that would normally train at 7:30 at night. I think it would be a different crowd, or maybe get some more people involved that wouldn't be able to train normally. Is that kind of how your classes are working? Because 5-6 people, if they're going to turn up like regularly, it's worth doing, isn't it? If you've got that amount of people to train with.
Yeah, like the morning class, like it is definitely a smaller class. The people that do show up are kind of pretty regular. It's also a newer class, right? So we've only been doing them for a couple months before this all happened. We had to put everything down, so probably be back to square one trying to get people out again. But like the people who are going to be showing up at those classes, a lot of the times, like I don't see them in the evening class, and then I wonder why I'm here. Right? They're probably sleeping right now. Why am I not? But like I know what you're talking about, because like I have friends that do run clubs that have that same problem where they feel like maybe there's too many classes because there's too many options through the day. If you can show up at 10 or 11, then no one's going to be at the noontime class to actually train, right? So like I know for us, for our gym, when I first started coming out back in 2013, I guess, there was classes, there was nights where there's only one jiu-jitsu class. I think of Wednesday nights were like the big one where it was like 2 or 3 classes in a row. And then we have grown to the point where now we have 2 or 3 classes a night, right? Starting at like 5 or 6 kind of thing. So, they're like, the intermediate, the first, is it the beginner's class and then intermediate? No, so other way around, yeah. Intermediate class, then the beginner's class, then the open mat kind of thing, right? So,
right. They like an hour each or something. And
yeah.
Just like techniques or a bit of specific sparring, that kind of stuff in the hour, like efficient hour.
Yeah, like we keep the rolling for the open mat, and then the drilling for those hours, right? And then we've grown to the point now where we can have that 3-hour breakdown the night. I mean that's cool to watch and see the classes grow, and it's only really, I mean, it's a lot of hardship for the club and for owners, right, to have to deal with that constant time and space management, right? Like, okay, we have a lot of people coming out for these classes. Does that mean we need a new gym, or do you mean a new schedule, right? So really, they've been really cool with being really open and open communication with us and talking about it, asking for our input on schedule changes and whatnot. So it's really cool to see it grow and see that kind of understand those kind of troubles, right? So yeah,
I think you've hit the nail on the head there. I think because it was the same situation in our club. I think there was a worry opening up maybe daytime sessions because our sessions had always run for 10 years the same times, and it had worked like the formula works. And the worry is when you open up new classes, will people come? And it just seems like it's kind of almost opened the door for more people to come in. Do you know what I mean? Like where people are restricted by certain times, now you get kind of more people coming in rather than the opposite. So you might get some spread out of the classes here and there, but generally because of the more open hours, you get more people come to those classes, more others. So it's kind of worked out. I think the more you offer, the more people will turn up to, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think there's kind of has to be a bit of a demand at first. Like if your classes aren't already packed, then like if if you have a small gym and 20 people packed it, then great. And then maybe some of those people would enjoy a class where it's not so full, so that not bumping into one another, right?
Yeah.
Some people enjoy a smaller class. It's easier for them to learn, right? So, so they might want to go to the different, or just because their schedule it changes, right? So they, but yeah, in my experience, looking at it, there's always going to be someone who is going to change their times. Like, oh, that hour works better than this hour, or there's going to be someone that's just like a gym rat that's going to go to both, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Gym rat is the name.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, you're at the gym more than you're at work.
I think we all want to be that, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely.
We all aspire to be able to do that.
That is the dream.
Yeah.
So where was your favorite place to travel to? What did you find the best? Well, we'll get best training, but where was your favorite place to go to?
Oh, like just like the country itself?
The country itself, yeah.
Yeah. See, I would get asked that a lot, and I've never really been able to break that down to this one, because every place is kind of different. It's all on what you're looking for, right? So like for me, like my favorite cities that I've been to, like London and Tokyo, were amazing cities, right? And Berlin, right? Those big cities.
Yeah.
Like Tokyo was just amazing for me. I don't know. I was so efficient, right?
Yeah.
And as far as like just like almost like a culture shock, like completely different.
Completely,
I really enjoyed when I was in Cambodia and when I was in Thailand, the islands in Thailand. I went out to Koh Tao.
Yeah, that's a cool place. Been there. It's awesome.
Yeah, there's a Planet gym out there, right?
Is there really?
Yeah, on the little island of Koh Tao, where it's like I guess it's like a diving island.
Yeah.
So it has its own diving. Yeah, there's a 10th planet out there.
No way.
That's why I went there actually. I was like, oh,
planet to be.
Yeah.
I was training at that point. When I was out there, I was training. I didn't even think about looking for places to.
No invite for you, mate. They saw you coming and thought, down.
The scrub pulled the sign down so I couldn't see it.
Has anyone got a free gi?
So yeah, like that was a really cool place to go to. There's nothing really to do, and if you don't dive, this is kind of a cool lazy island to hang out on. Yeah. So I literally just kind of walked around and enjoyed the sun and the sights, and then went and trained in the evening kind of thing.
Oh, that's
same with Cambodia, right? I was there for the holidays, and
there was places to train because we went to Cambodia as well. Where was it? Phnom Penh, was it?
Yeah. They have Heart is there. It's a pretty nice school that's like indoors. It's all gi. There's I was up in Siem Reap. There was the the Angkor Fight Club that I think
Oh,
is
cool.
closed down now, or is just kickboxing.
Yeah.
But it was actually when I went there when I was in Siem Reap. It so happened that there was another globetrotter from the U.S. there, and another backpacker from Australia. And the guy from Australia is actually a black belt. And he
Yeah.
was decided, he's like, hey, is it all right if I jump in and teach class tonight? So they just had these three outsiders training at their gym, and it started off as just the three of us, and then as the hour went on, everyone else who was watching it decided to start jumping in, and by the time we started rolling, there's I think like 8 of us there. It was like
That's really
all
cool.
the kickboxers and the locals
Yeah.
kind of slowly started coming out and jumping in and helping us out. And yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Oh man, that's awesome. I remember I got a funny story in Kotal. We were, like you said, there's literally nothing to do, is there? There's not, unless you dive, because we initially, me and my wife, we initially went over there to do some diving, but we didn't really plan it because we didn't really plan
Yeah,
specifically where we were going to go on the whole trip. We were kind of just island hopping.
yeah.
We planned to go diving, but when we got there, all the diving was booked for the amount of time that we had on the island. So we were like kind of just scratching around for things to do, typical. Yeah. We were scratching around for things to do. And if I'd have known there was training, I probably would have gone there, but I didn't even think about it at the time. We went to some guys who were like, do like water sports. And they were like, what else can we do? If we can't dive, what else can we do? And one guy said that there's a viewpoint on another island, like
Oh
just
yeah,
there. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Really, really small, but it's like you just have to get a boat to get over there. But he said he the other day he just he took a canoe, like a paddling boat over there.
yeah.
And I was like, oh, that sounds like a really good idea. Sounds like fun, you know, we're active, it's fun to say. And me and my wife, we had like a double one, and we seemed to get over there really easily. And then we spent the day on the island. We did snorkeling. We climbed a viewpoint. I had a nice day. And then we realized we got to get back. And we were tired and we'd had a few drinks. And we were like, okay, now we've got to try and get back on this like pedal boat thing. And I don't know I don't know whether it's harder to get back onto the land, but honestly, it was so difficult. I didn't think I was going to make it. I was like, I thought I was going
Classic
to
Brit abroad, aren't you?
I was convinced that my wife wasn't paddling. I was like, come on! No! She's like, hey.
That's you just looking to blame someone else for not being able to pedal.
I thought I was going to die. And then when I made it, I passed out on the beach.
I want to hear about the attempt in Burger King. I want to hear this story, Paul.
Yeah, the attempt at a sponsorship by Burger King. Yeah.
My ears immediately pricked up. Burger King.
Is that possible?
So before I think it was like I don't know, it was a few months out before I left. I remember like over that summer, because I left in November. So over that summer, I was with talking with my friends, and we're like, because we're talking about sponsorships, right? Like must be able to get a sponsorship somewhere doing this, right? And how I could promote my site and travels and stuff. And so we're going through different sponsorships, like Jiu-Jitsu soap or different gi brands or whatever, right? And I forget what we were watching. Maybe we were watching UFC or something, but it was just like as a joke. I was like, what if I tagged like a fast food place? Because you gotta figure there's gonna be like fast food in every city, right?
Yeah.
So they're pretty. They're global.
Yes.
So because the whole joke was like, if I don't like the local food, I'll just stick to some burger joint, right? So we figured Burger King. I'm a big fan of the Whopper, anyways. So we figured
We're all
Burger King.
big fans of the Whopper here.
Yeah. So I figured that would be the best one to go after, and so I started the whole hashtag 100 cities, 100 Whoppers, And every city I hit up, I go and take a picture out in front of the place or inside the place with the Whopper or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And I until I actually I had my brother. My brother has a band, and he has so I wore that Phantom hat and T-shirt when I was going to these places, and then one by one, I kind of lost this hat and T-shirt, so it's just me with his burgers now. And so I was going all over the place, and I think I ended up just kind of stopping at one point, or I took all these pictures and I stopped posting them and deleted them, and I got up to I think 65 or something like that. And like the only thing I remember actually having, because I was always tagging Burger King and everything, and the only response I ever got was from Burger King Russia. They they liked the post, and I think they retweeted it or something like that. But yeah, that's about it. So
You can trust the Russians. Like
Yeah.
that's some proper marketing. I think Burger King should re-enter the arena for this.
Oh,
I mean,
talking
Well,
about it, wasn't like Anderson Silva sponsored by Burger King or something? Is
yeah,
that where you got the idea from?
well, I think actually it was Roy Nelson. That was his whole thing.
yeah.
When he won, yeah, when he won
The old
Ultimate
fighter.
he's like, he's like, yeah, I'm really tired and hungry. I'm gonna go Burger King after he won. Yeah.
Didn't they used to have Burger King in the Octagon as well?
Yeah, I think that was one of their big sponsors.
And that's where we got it from, or that's where I think we were kind of thinking about it, was because of that. I mean, I looked it up and realized like there was all kinds of athletes out there who actually got like a Burger King sponsorship where it was, they get free burgers for a year or something like that, right? So
do you ever wonder if you'd have got to that 100, you would have got that sponsorship? Maybe they were just waiting because they started the hashtag 100 cities, 100 burgers. They were like, when is
waiting for 100 posts? Yeah,
they're like, let's see this guy's commitment. Is he going to wait?
Well, I might not have all the posts for it, but I can assure you I've eaten more than 100 Whoppers.
I should give you sponsorship just on that.
I was really hoping I'd get like a patch and have like a Burger King sponsored patch on my gi.
Oh yeah.
I think if I had that, then after that, that'd be it. I would have made it, right? So
you could just retire.
Yeah.
that would be the start of everything. Could come from that.
Yeah,
that's right.
Walking
anyway, I think.
I walk into every restaurant with that gi. Just do this, do this.
Like a VIP card.
Yeah.
What you want.
Coming free, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, right here. You got that gi for sure.
But it was.
Sorry.
It added to kind of more fun, just traveling, right? Because it's like a reason to get out is go find a Burger King.
Yeah.
So you're running around the city, and I mean, I hit up London, I think 3 different times. So each time I went and looked for a different Burger King, right? So
there's plenty, mate. Absolutely plenty.
Yeah.
Did you because you mentioned Christian and the Globetrotters and stuff, so did you manage to catch some of those camps while you were around as well? And
so my first camp was when they first went to Heidelberg in Germany. So that's when I finally got to meet Christian and a lot of the people. And it's funny because it was right after I'd already spent like a month going across Germany, and most of Europe. So when I got back like to that camp, a lot of the people who I'd met when I went through
James.
Germany, so it was I had a lot of friends there, and then I just met more friends to go and travel later on and meet. And so there's a lot of, I think the very first camp I went to when I was in like Heidelberg camp, I think over the week I added something like 120 people on Facebook. It was just crazy, right? The amount of like friendships they're building, like you would say it's networking, but it's not, because we're
Yeah.
actually, we talk online, and so
There's
I
something
mean,
about that in jiu-jitsu, isn't there? We were saying this when people come into the gym, and as soon as you've kind of tapped hands, bumped fists, and rolled with someone, it feels like they're your best mates, like straight away. So it's a weird bond that you create when you roll, when you have a roll
yeah,
with someone.
yeah. So I remember talking with this one woman that used to train with us, like here, and she said the way she sees it is she can figure out who you are after 5 minutes of rolling
Mm,
more than she would as a year of being a friend, right?
yeah.
Because in that 5 minutes, you're going to go through all these different, situations, right? Stressful situations. She'll see how
Yes.
you handle stress, how you handle being in power, how you handle, like all these different situations.
Yeah.
So she'll know whether or not you're an asshole. Like if you're gonna, you know, if you can be a friend with someone for a year and never see them in a like stressful situation, or
Yeah.
see how they deal with, you know, revenge, or a position of power or something, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, after training with someone, um, if you're going to be friends or not, pretty easy, right?
Yeah.
So
Straight away.
yeah,
Avoid people digging their elbows into your
yeah,
knees, and you're just like,
It
fuck
tells
that
a lot about
guy.
you, doesn't it? It
Fuck
tells.
that guy.
yeah,
Some of the real arseholes don't even make it onto the mat. They do. They come in and then they don't want to train with a girl, or they don't want to do this or that. They have one session. It's like, I'm not coming back. You
Mm,
know that straight away.
yeah. And I dealt with that. See, I think that was probably the one big advantage I've had for jiu-jitsu was when I started young, as a teenager on an army base, getting beat up by meatheads all the time, right?
mm,
And it was like a year or so before I actually got like my first submission on someone. And I was just used to being the small guy getting beat up, right?
yeah.
So later on, when I got into Brazilian jiu-jitsu, that wasn't anything new to me, right?
No.
So, but to a lot of people it is, right?
Yeah.
And you watch UFC or you watch whatever, and you want to be that rock star, and you go right off out the bat thinking you're going to be that rock star, and then you realize, well, it takes hours and hours of getting beat up first to get there.
Yeah.
I know I'm not in for that.
Like that's what Mark Dios is going through.
One of
He's
our white belts right now, my friend, he's just started. He's a white belt, and yeah, he's finding it tough being
he's
the name.
picking up every injury going. His progression was really, really fast, and then sort of plateauing a bit. And it's like, it's like the same thing everyone has all the time.
The like,
Yeah.
But it is funny because it is just the natural way of things, the natural path.
it is.
Yeah.
Everyone has done it.
Yeah.
And you
Unless
do
you
get
just,
through it. You do get through it. It just takes time, doesn't it? It just takes a bit of time, and you just got.
I was like this for about a year. Like, I'm probably
Yeah.
at least 10 years. Still do it now.
Yeah.
It's still like that now. It's but it's a great. But it's a great. I think it accelerates the friendship process as well, and you're into something quite niche, really. The sports. It's not. Most people won't even know what it is. That karate thing you do, and you're like, okay, yeah, that's what it is. And then you just see, as soon as someone says that, how many people do the jokes go, oh, what are you doing that taekwondo? You're like, yeah, I'm not going to talk to you about it.
Yeah, that's it. Done.
There's just no point. But I've been on 2 Globetrotter camps, and the thing that I noticed is I'm same as you. I made friends with a couple of people there that I chat to relatively regularly, on Instagram chat or whatever, and I think and that both have said, oh, come out and train, come here and train, do that,
Yeah.
or I posted a picture. Do you know Daniel Reed, the Scottish?
Yeah.
So
Dan Reed, yeah.
Yeah, so he's a character, and
Yeah.
I'll try and get him to come on here. But like he was in my like cabin, like the Zen camp in Poland,
Okay. Yeah.
and yeah, so we had fun, like laughing about and whatnot. And yeah, he's from Scotland, and when I was in Scotland last year, we stopped off for one night in Glasgow. So I went training at MNBJJ there. Texas.
Yeah.
Can I come down? He's like, yeah, no worries, just come, no problem. And there was about like 40 people training. It was a really good training session. But then I posted my picture on Instagram, and then Dan was like, oh man, I didn't know that you're in Scotland. I was back in Scotland for this where we could have trained and this and that. And so, like you say, like meeting lots of friends and meeting people, because everyone's got, I think you just know if people can be bothered to train or even go and do camps and do stuff, they're interested in training and helping people who train and doing stuff. There's just it's a vastly accelerated way of getting to know people and opportunities to do stuff wherever. I think like
like the people you meet at the camps, you already have a lot in common, right?
Yeah.
You already like jiu-jitsu, you already like traveling, right? So I mean, there's a lot involved with that, right? You've
got quite a few barriers to start with.
Yeah, just getting out to those camps. Like there's so many people I've met like that. It's their first camp and they're kind of shy, and but it's like, well, you made it out here. It's a pretty big step, right? Yeah. And surely by the end of the week, you're gonna have a bunch of friends, right? Yeah, there's a lot of checks in the boxes already when you go to those camps and realize like everyone's kind of in the same boat on a lot of interests, right? And I think the big key is that Christian keeps it very sociable, right? There's a lot of social events that go on, a lot of hanging out. It's not just like a training camp, right?
Yeah.
You wake up and hit the mat and start training, right? So a lot of fun involved. So
yeah, that's great.
Yeah, pick and choose. Like that was like I found that fun. You're hoping that's not on. Because I can only do a certain amount per day.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm wise enough to know that not to overdo it, to not spoil the rest of the week. Like, because
it took me a few camps actually where to figure that out, because there's quite often, like whenever I go there's going to be one day I'm just too burnt out to do anything. Yeah, it's kind of on the sidelines. Yeah,
suddenly everything starts hurting, and you thought it was all right, and suddenly everything's like. Because like the first day is like half a day or whatever usually, isn't it? And then there's a big like open mat, 4 hour mat. And I think I went to Copenhagen in 2017, and I think I rolled a lot, and I was like really excited. And then you see, because there's lots of the coaches were rolling as well, so you're trying to get around with whoever, and see. So, and you don't want to, if one of them's sitting there, you got to be quick.
Yeah.
Everyone's waiting for the same opportunities to like try and get a roll with someone. And then I was like, I wanted to do this class at 10 and then that one at 12. And then you start mapping out. And then you're like, by the end of that day, I was like, I got to think about this a bit more. It's not easy. Food's always great. So,
yeah.
What do they do with barbecue stuff?
It's all different often, isn't it?
Well, which the
Globetrotters foods, it's good.
Oh yeah, it depends on where we're at, right? The last one I went to was at the Arizona camp, and we set up barbecues outside the gym, and then we'd also, like for the big end party, it was just a big, huge barbecue outside, right?
Yeah.
Throughout the week, we hit up a couple of different restaurants and stuff, right? Pubs or whatever. But some of the other places that we went to, it all really kind of depends on where we're at, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, it's
Cool.
always a lot of fun. It's always like a set up as a social thing, right? So
Yeah.
I loved it. I would like if we're all able to move around, then I'm hoping I might be able to go to the Zen camp in October. I really enjoyed the like living on the site. Not have to find your own accommodation somewhere else, and then you might be out the loop a bit. And whereas you're there, you with everyone. I found that to be really good.
yeah. I've a few of the camps I've done that, like the Heidelberg one, because it's at the Olympic sports place there, right? So they had the dorm there.
Oh, that was that.
Same with the main camp is at a campground, right? So there's sleeping in the cabins. But then there's the couple other ones where Iceland was just kind of find your own hostel, and I ended up the hostel I went to, no one else was staying at.
Oh no!
Oh no!
So I was off on my own, but the people I was hanging out with there, like in my room, were all pretty cool. So when I wasn't training with the Globetrotters, as with my hostel roommates, and we'd go and find some hot springs or whatever, go hang out in, right? So that was still that, as I was just meeting more friends along the way, right? So
did you? Where was that training in Iceland? Was that in Reykjavik?
yeah, at Gunnar Nelson's gym there in Mjolnir.
Yeah, awesome.
It looks
there.
Yeah, that's the place that's in the rocks, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh man, that place looks.
Is that Haldor Logi's gym as well?
Yeah.
It looks
He
incredible, that place.
Yeah, he taught at the Zen camp, and he was a really nice guy. He's like early 20s. He's been fighting in England in some shows and stuff.
Yeah. He's pretty cool. The whole gym, the people there are all pretty cool. Like that's probably one of the best gyms I've ever seen.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
Was it 3 or 4 different rooms they have there? They have like 2 different cages, I think. I guess. And then they also have like the sauna and the hot tub and the ice tub, and so you stay there
all
after
day.
training, and after you're done training, you just go and hit the sauna and ice tub and stuff, and just like I didn't have any aches or pains the whole week because I was just dealing.
You feel like
I wouldn't have left. I would have slept on the mats.
Yeah. Well, they close up, so they kick you out at end of the day.
And when you've been on the sort of long-term travel, what about injuries, anything like that? Did you have any prior injuries or pick up anything that was kind of like stop you from doing anything or?
Yeah. So when I left, on my, I don't know if you guys have read Christian's book. Christian goes on about getting prepared, being fit before he leaves. I kind of did the opposite. I was like in the worst shape because I just spent a year doing rehab on my neck because I had like a tumor in my neck, and I wasn't doing a lot of training and kind of went through a bit of a depression cycle for a little bit. So I got pretty fat for a bit, and then just traveling and eating, the local, the local delicacies of fast food and junk and sweets. I just, so I wasn't in the best of shape when I left. But as far as injuries went, I had a lot of aches and pains because I was training a lot. I think at my lowest, I was still averaging like 1 hour a day of training. But when you're doing 3 hours one day, then off the next day kind of thing, and then you're off spending 10-20 kilometers sightseeing, walking around the city, not ever resting, right? But I had a foam roller with me, so I was always kind of stretching, and a yoga mat, so I was always kind of stretching out and rolling out, because like travel days are really bad when you're training somewheres, and they're, I don't know, I'm kind of a bigger guy, so a lot of guys, when I go to the gym, I kind of feel like it's like, well, let's test out what this new big guy is like, right?
Yeah.
And then so you get beat up, rolling with them, and then you jump on a plane the next day, and you spend the day sitting in the seat, and your back and your hips kind of lock up, and so there's a lot of yoga and stretching out between travels. And then the two big things though would be when I was in Thailand, I got staph.
Oh no.
Yeah. It was, see, I'd love to go back to Bangkok because basically I met some awesome people there, but couldn't train because I was just getting overstaffed.
Mm.
And then I also couldn't really go see the sights because it was the memorial of the passing of the king. So a lot of the sites were closed. So it was kind of a bust for visiting Bangkok of all places.
Yeah.
But I'm thankful that happened in Bangkok, well, in Thailand, because they have antibiotics at every corner store.
That's right. Yeah.
We kind of made sure to pick up a few extras to stock up in case it happened again.
Yeah.
But and then in New Zealand, I wrote about it. I did like a partial tear to my meniscus on my knee. It was like, looking back, it was all the recipe for disaster. I was already worn out, and then I was teaching a class all about like half guard and kind of this whole like the lockdown and this whole kind of bear trap setup.
Nice.
And then
That's not my kind of class, that does.
and then rolling with them, spent the next hour doing that. So I spent like 2 hours just wrecking my knee.
Yeah.
And then nothing happened in class. It was as I was leaving, saying goodbye, and I pivoted, just turning to walk away, and that's when I felt this tear in my knee, and I was like, "Oh!" And they thought it was a joke. I go, "I think I just tore my knee," and then they go, "Oh, haha, see ya." They're like,
Yeah.
so I had to deal with that for a few months because I was still traveling, so I couldn't pass up seeing these places and going to these gyms.
Yeah.
So I was trying to train and see what kind of limit I had.
Yeah.
So I'd be good for a week, and then it hurt my knee again, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then after the holidays of resting it up, then it was kind of like trying to get it back and like rehab it kind of thing. So there was a few months of kind of touch and go of the last few months of traveling. I couldn't really do a lot of good rolling. Kind of sucked, but I still made it out there and was still able to drill and meet everyone, hang out with everyone. And it took a while getting back into the normal routine when I was back home to get it back up. And then I was wearing a knee brace for a while. And I'm trying to think about when it finally, it's probably almost a year before, I didn't have to worry about it anymore. Now it's just, my knees hurt because I'm old, but yeah.
Same here, mate. Same here.
Yeah. But I mean, injuries happen, right? I mean, if you're going to do a travel like that and not expect any kind of problem to come up, I think you're going to be in a pretty bad situation.
Especially
like
when you were training. I think if anyone was training that kind of like every day, something's going to happen, isn't it? Something's going to pop up, whether it's minor or major.
Yeah, and I mean, for the training I was doing with the people I was training with, I think coming out with only ever getting, a hurt knee near the end of it all, I came up pretty lucky, like I didn't, there's a lot of places in Eastern Europe where I was doing some pretty hard, submission wrestling and, sambo and stuff. And,
yeah, cool.
And didn't hurt anything, so I was pretty lucky,
Yeah.
I think.
What was Russia? Russia was. I would like to hear.
Yeah, I would like to hear about this too.
It was actually really. It was a lot different than I would have thought it would be. So I started in St. Petersburg, And the guy that I met there, he runs MMA gyms there. And I thought I was going to go out and train with his gym. And then like the night before, he's like, okay, change of plans. We have an invitation to go train with the National Sambo Club. And I'm like, oh, okay.
I'm coming with this.
Yeah. I'm like, really? Do we have to? Yeah. And so we go out there, but it wasn't like, and I expected it to be like a class ran and coach yelling at you and Russian and me dying on the corner kind of thing. But it was really kind of, it was like just like almost like an open mat, right? Like everyone gets there and they partner up and they kind of work on what they want to work on. And so I basically just stayed with him because it was safer that way. And he just kind of, we did some no-gi rolling. That was it. Just kind of, it's just like a no-gi open mat, just him and I rolling and him kind of, I think like I was kind of timid in his direction because he smothered me at one point in a north-south choke and then just kind of smothered me and I'm like, were you going for the choke at all or just for the smother? He's got it's all good in sambo. And then and as we're rolling, he was like, why aren't you going harder? And I'm gonna be a bit more timid on doing that rather than take that as an invitation to go harder, because then he's going to go harder, right? But he was trying to instruct me on how to get the arm, because he was like, I had a top side and he's kind of on his side hiding his arm, and he's like, hey, hook this and then put your knee here and then put your knee there. And he's basically telling me to put my knee on his face and in his ribs and then rip his arm out. And I mean, sure, in a competition that will work, but if I do that to him now, he's going to do that back to me. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
And also say now you should roll with that guy over there. And,
yeah.
Around the international sambo.
And then there was so I'm watching these other guys train there, and there was one guy that must have been about 7 feet tall. He's huge. And he's like, yeah, he's our like heavyweight champ for whatever MMA league they had there, Boris the Butcher. And like he's huge. Like I have a picture of him. I'm up to here on him. And he's like, you want to do a round with him? I'm like, no.
No good can come from this.
He's like, no, we'll take a video for your blog. I'm like, no, like. And then right after him asking me that, I watched him like drop his partner with a kick to the ribs, and I'm like, yeah, see, like that's gonna be me. Like that's not gonna be. If I was a little younger, I'd probably be like all over it and have a lot more injuries for it, right?
That's right, yeah.
Broke this rib in Russia, broke this rib, and yeah.
As you're doing it from your crutches, like grandchildren about it.
Be on video as well.
Are you got plans for doing something similar? Would you like to get back out on the road or on the plains and go visit?
I'm always thinking about that stuff. I mean, so my whole trip idea was, to get to Japan, right, from Canada, just kind of go snake through Europe and Asia and get over to Japan and then kind of make my way back. And that's what I did, right? And then what I was hoping was maybe I could actually get some kind of sponsorship along the way and be able to continue. It's just naive thinking, but I was really hoping, and I'd really like to do it again another time, is like spend a year going across US now, right?
Yeah.
And the whole real, like my thought, the process was, US is a bit more expensive for me than it is to go over to travel through Europe and Asia, right? So I
Yeah.
was like, the more I travel, the more friends I'll make, the more contacts I'll be able to find to go through the States, right? And I mean, sure, I'm at a great point to put it together. I just don't really have. It's not really an opportune time. I'd love to end of the year and just hit every single state up, right, and go
Yeah.
all through. Um, I gotta catch up to my dad, right? My dad's semi-retired, and he always goes down. He's a snowbird, right? Goes down to the U.S. all the time,
Yeah.
and he takes different paths. So I think he's visited like 30 different states.
Right.
So I've only been to 3. So
Yeah. Yeah.
You get
gotta
some
catch up
tips.
to him. Yeah, I gotta catch up to him, right? So
It's great. It's such a
Are
great
you,
thing to do. I
you
mean,
okay for time, Panda?
Hmm?
You okay for time?
yeah.
Okay, awesome.
yeah.
Sorry, Sam.
That's right. We do. I was just going to say, like, I've never really traveled out like much and done much. Like I've traveled, but I've never really done any training elsewhere. And I think that's something we were going to change this year, Nick. But I think it's probably going to have to wait till maybe later.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
like it's
we're going
not
to do
this
some more traveling around this country and kind of go to some more gyms and hopefully do some more podcasts with some people. But
Yeah.
really interests me going other places and just seeing what the environment's like, and and going to meet, and like you said, make contacts and meet people. I think
Yeah.
one of the best things about
Yeah, it's funny. Like the first couple of clubs I went to, and I think like the first time I actually went out and like visited clubs, it was when I went down to San Diego, right? And I think maybe like I was pretty nervous then, right? I was still white belt and was like walking in through the door of these world champs gyms, right? So I was pretty nervous. But after that, everything else seemed just okay, right? So when I left to go travel, it was more exciting than it was like nerve wracking to go through these gyms.
yeah.
And then this then came just kind of just a normal day experience, right? Um, Everyone's like usually pretty excited to have someone coming in through their door and see how, just talk about like, where they've been and what the experiences they've been, seen and so I mean we're all pretty open and curious, right?
Yeah,
So
I love it. I love it when people come to our gym. I genuinely love it. I think it's brilliant because you get more looks. You see the same people week in, week out, and you usually have a lot of the same training partners. So to get somebody else to train with who's probably got some different looks or a different way they move is exciting. It's good.
yeah, actually that's one thing that was I kind of learned to teach as I was traveling too, because there's a few places I go to where, it's like the whole, what I say is that what jujitsu was kind of founded on people with videotapes, right? The metal tapes and being in a friend's garage or whatever.
Yeah.
There's still gyms that are like that, even with the internet, There's a group of people who watch something on YouTube and then train together because they're out in the middle of nowhere, right?
Yeah.
And and so a lot of them are still lower belts or just white belts or just whatever. And so there's a few places where I showed up and they're like, okay, so you're teaching tonight. And I'm like, oh, what? And I don't think I ever, other than just helping out the new guy that it's his first class or whatever, like I've never really taught until all of a sudden I'm in a new country and a new gym I've never been to. Some of those people don't even speak English, and here I am like expected to teach something, right?
Yeah.
Because they want to see like what do you know? What have you picked up along the way? Or
Of course. Yeah.
in Morocco actually. Oh, what's his name? Dax. Yeah, in Morocco, there's a guy has a gym, and that's his only rule to visitors is like you have to teach a night, right?
Oh
And
wow, that's a good.
very cool.
That is
yeah,
cool. I like that.
and then so I showed up and I was teaching him something, and he he films it and puts it on his little blog or whatever, and he's just like and then shared that around, and I was like, oh, that's actually pretty cool. I didn't get totally trashed by everyone online, so
I wouldn't pay attention to it anyway.
yeah.
What do they know?
Well, you know, the more haters you have, the more you've made it, right?
That's
So
right. That's
at least
exactly right.
one person, but yeah.
Dylan Dennis is doing well then.
Dylan
Yeah,
Dennis is doing very well. Did you see what happened to
Oh, Submission
Oh,
Underground last
yeah,
night.
Underground?
Vinny and Craig. Yeah,
Oh, it's
I watched
unbelievable.
that, and I thought it was actually going to be like a big pop, and
Yeah, I was waiting to hear it. I was
Yes,
like, I can't hit.
he nothing, right? I'm like, no, he's got that. I'm watching Craig just tear on that leg, and
yeah.
it's
He
not.
he couldn't rotate the heel any more than he had.
No.
Like it was 180 degrees round, and like I saw Vinny video earlier, Vinny chatting saying, "Oh yeah, like my foot goes round like that in training," but he said it'd gone an extra couple of inches than it normally does. He says I stretched to that angle, but not as far. I thought, I mean, there's something missing from his knees then. Like it's
Oh,
That's just because of all
there
the
is
years
now.
of wearing
yeah,
meniscus.
it's always popping in training and things. You're like, it's not supposed to though, is it? It's supposed to.
Yeah.
There was really good fights on that show as well, other than Vinny and Craig.
I've only seen the highlight of that. It's brutal.
Yeah, that's the one thing I saw was that highlight. That was that that match that was coming around. I didn't get to see the rest of it all, but yeah,
Worth a look. But it's a bit weird.
Yeah.
I take it there's no crowd.
No crowd, just in a UFC octagon, and even the refs like saying a
2
few meters
meters.
away. Yeah.
Yeah.
The other one, someone put on our gym's group chat of Verdum hanging off Finney's arm at ADCC for about 2 minutes, trying to snap his arm off, and he got out in the end. But he's he's tucking it under. He's like everything you can imagine, twisting the wrist round and then putting it in here, and he's not tapping. It's unbelievable.
He does not like to tap, that guy.
Doesn't like to tap.
Yeah, there's you run into people like that in the gym too, and you see them afterwards. You're like, I'm sure I got that armbar. And then you see them later on. You see them along the sidelines, holding their arm a little bit, right? And it's like, yeah, I knew I had that.
Yeah. I've done that a few times, but as time goes on, you're like, no.
Yeah. You soon learn, don't you? It doesn't take very long.
I want to come back tomorrow. Not to be like this for 2 weeks.
Yeah, it doesn't take any of those to be like, I think
both my elbows at least 2 or 3 times each, right? Like in competition, or just someone in class snap it on really fast, or me just trying to not trying to resist too much, but trying to see is there a way I can get out of this? And then you pop, nope. So now it's just like I don't even.
Do you like competing? Do you get out to many competitions and stuff?
Yeah, I try to. Competition is not my main goal, right? Competition's never really been my main goal for martial arts. But there's something about it, right? Like dealing with the nerves and the anxiety of competing that day, and kind of having the goal to work a game plan up to the competition, and then really kind of seeing where you sit, dealing with all those emotions and how you perform, and then kind of going right back to square one again and reevaluating, right? I mean, if I was to actually write down all my wins and losses, I'm probably got a pretty bad record, right? I've lost a lot of matches.
Yeah.
But it's always a good roll, good fight. A lot of good times, right? Like learning, right? So it's not. I'm not a competitor, right? I'm too lazy to be in competitor shape, right?
Yeah.
But it's still a lot of fun to get out there and roll against someone you don't usually roll against.
Yeah.
In a heightened kind of situation like that, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Like,
me and Nick have never really been like big into
Uh,
competition, but we kind of made a pact this year, didn't we? Of like maybe having a bit of a run next year and going for it and seeing how it ends up. But
yeah, what's the worst that can happen? So
exactly, yeah.
I mean, I had a year where I competed, I think, once a month for the year. It was kind of like I jumped in every competition, and I did all well. Never, I think I got gold once, but it was, uh, I think he actually was up on points. We're even, but he had an advantage. I think, yeah, but he ended up getting a bloody nose, and it wouldn't stop. So I won from I don't know, making my opponent bleed. I don't know, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Whatever
I
it
think that's
takes, I'd take that win as well.
yeah, and a referee stoppage, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's the only gold medal I ever
I'm
got.
sure. I'm sure I saw. I think Mia Katsu was doing a cartoon based on. It might not have been Mia
Yeah,
Katsu. Was it
yeah, I know he did. I remember
your
seeing that.
story, the nosebleed story, and that?
Yeah, Mikatsu was doing it. He asked because Seymour was asking people are writing their funny
Yeah,
story, and I saw that one. And I was like, that pretty much. But it was like the other guy's perspective where he's hiding it. Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
He was hiding it like that's the ref didn't see it. 'Cause he told him if he did it again, he was going to DQ him.
yeah,
And so he just grabbed the guy's gi and just stuck his face in
yeah,
till the time ran out. And then he's like, I'm sorry about the gi.
yeah,
'Cause
yeah. And I think that the guy might have tried that with me. I'm not too sure. I think he got it more on himself, and
yeah,
the ref saw that.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't even know. Like the ref just stopped us as he was getting into side control and put him to the side to go get cleaned up. And we're sitting around for waiting and waiting. And the whole time I'm realizing that I have blood on my gi now. And I'm like, well, I hope the ref doesn't make me have to change my gi because I only brought one. Usually I have a second gi, right? But I was like, I'll lose because like I don't have another gi. And then my coach at the student, senior student who was there, kind of coaching me. He was like, okay, don't worry. He's only one advantage up on you. You just gotta get back in the guard. It's all good. And I'm like, okay, cool. We got this game plan. It's all good. We're waiting. He's like, what do you do to him? Right? And now it's like 2 minutes go by. Like, what do you do to him? I don't know what happened. But yeah, he ended up getting a bleeding nose, and it wouldn't stop. I think he actually broke his nose. I think he face planted it.
Oh man.
Yeah, he went to roll the turtle up, and I went to, I put my hand on his back,
Yeah.
like the
And pushed
shoulders.
his
And I
head.
don't think he braced. I think he just went face down, and yeah,
It's like those ones
and,
when they do the snap down throws
yeah,
over their head and people
yeah,
don't roll and then they just go face plant straight into the ground.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
there
Feels good.
was a guy competition we went to the back end of last year, and we were like just supporting other students, and we looked over, and there's a guy just threw up straight in the mat
Oh,
like,
Oh yeah.
during his match, and then just like mopped it up, but then he did get DQ'd for being sick. But we're like, oh god, and he was like, oh, I'll carry on, and they're like, no, go away, go and sort yourself out.
that's horrible. Yeah,
Like,
yeah. It was.
fucking
Yeah.
white belt.
But yeah, other than that, I mean, I've got like some bronze or silver medals. I don't think I've only ever got one or two medals that I earned that weren't like there's only two or three of us on the mats anyways, kind of thing.
Yeah,
And my track record is not that great, but just dealing with that, right? So the more you deal with it, the less it becomes an issue, and then you start to get better, right? I think that's the one big thing about big cities that have lots of clubs and lots of competitions is you have more experience with it, right? So
Yeah,
you
that's
get
it.
to to
It's
deal with
like
it.
nervy, isn't it? It's nerve wracking. It's like it's a
Yeah,
lot of pressure. I think mainly from yourself, but I certainly feel it whenever I've competed is the pressure, and it lasts for weeks beforehand, months, or from whenever you've signed up, right up until that
yeah.
point.
Like the anxiety kind of starts to increase and you get there. I don't know if you guys know Kent Peters, Zombie Proof BJJ. Yeah, yeah. So when I first met him in person, we hung out. It was actually like, there was a competition going on. So I met up with him. I got into town. We're gonna train that week together. And I'm like, hey, I'm in town. He's like, cool. What are you doing tomorrow? There's a competition. I'm like, oh, I don't want to compete. He's like, it's all right. Just come hang out with us. So I met him at like 6 in the morning, and it was like a 4-hour drive back the way I came to go to the competition. And so we're just kind of hanging out in his car as he's driving the whole way. And his philosophy on competitions is actually pretty cool, right? He kind of explained it on the way there, and then explained it again on the way back. And he's like, okay, you're there all day, you're watching all the matches. It's like, how many of those matches can you recall? Like, if I was to ask you about these people, can you tell me whether they won or lost those matches? Or can you tell me what people, what submissions you remember seeing? He's like, you probably only remember 1 or 2 matches. There's hundreds of matches going on that day. I only remember a couple, right?
Yeah.
He's like, you figure, he's like, that's everyone else there, right? It's, you weren't even there cheering for anyone, so you were there specifically watching more matches.
Yeah.
He's like, think about it. He's like, at the end of the day, when you're competing, all those people who are there, they're not watching you. Right? They're not really, so they don't really care when you win or lose. So really, the only person that really cares, that's really putting all that pressure on you, is you, right?
It's true.
So, yeah, like
I can't.
no one's gonna see it. No one's gonna see it. No one's gonna remember it, right? Unless it's your own teammate who's there specifically to cheer you on. You already know that person, right? So
no one wants you to fail either, because you're doing something. People like there's a
unless they're fighting a teammate, and then you're like, you do want the other person to fail.
Yeah, but I mean the spectators or like your club mates. Like, there's a few people at our gym that compete pretty regularly, and like I've mentioned before, like Kane and Matt, who will go to as many competitions as they can, sort of injury permitting and all the rest of it, and like they go, they win or they lose or whatever, and it doesn't matter to them. They move on, bring on the next. And I'd like to feel more like that, so I'm going to put some pressure on myself. I don't think pressure to do it, like go out there and have some competitions and see what happens, but not worry about whatever happens. Just the challenge is just going and doing it rather than worrying about what happens. So whatever happens when I go is fine by me, that kind of thing. So I think if I have that attitude, I'm no spring chicken, it's like whatever, just going and doing it is good enough,
Yeah, it is,
yeah. And that's been my whole thought about it all since I came back and started competing again, was I'd love to go out and win, but I'm going out there to have fun, right? And so I mean, the last competition I was at, I ended up going against like the biggest guy there, who's like 100 pounds more than me, on the first match. So I was 250 at the time, and he was 360.
What?
And we're two of the biggest guys there, and we put on a great match right up until the end. So it was like, I think it was like a 6 minutes for a match, and then when it goes to 6 minutes, then you have another 2 or 3 minutes of it actually now counting, because the first is only sub only.
Like ADC rules.
Then it goes in, then it goes, but it's all one match, so there's no break. So you have like an 8-minute match in the last 2 minutes of what counts for points, right?
Yeah.
So we went the distance, and he ended up in the last minute he got mount kind of thing, right? So, but and so he ended up winning silver, right? He ended up getting second place, and so we had a great match, and that was something I was like, take away from that. Like, I don't care. I don't and place. I had a great match, and I love to. We're good friends. We meet up once in a while now to train, and now I'd like to go back and see if I can have a better.
That's right.
It's all experience, isn't it?
That's
all
exactly,
experience.
yeah.
So like it's all part of the jiu-jitsu tapestry, or the learning, the journey, whatever you want to call it. But that's what I think. Like, because it was really cool. We had a really good day out in London, watching some of the guys who are competing at Grappling Industries. You have those over in Canada as well. Yeah. So we were at one of those, and they're like super cool event. Like, it's relatively expensive to sign up for, like in relation to other events here, aside from IBJJF stuff, obviously. But you're guaranteed 4 or 5 matches. So
yeah, I heard they do almost got to open like a round robin or something like that.
Yeah,
yeah.
It was really, really, really good. I thought it was really good. People get their nerves out in the first match and kind of settle into having more fun by just having more opportunity, rather than you might lose the first. I've been to Wales, Bristol, places like this, like 3-4 hours drive away from her, one match and lost, and then you're like that. Oh.
Got 3 or 4 hours journey back.
Yeah. Right, off we go then.
Yeah, I was in a competition once where there was me and another guy, and we thought there was like supposed to be 4 of us, and the 2 of us went in, and he got me pretty easy, right? And I kind of didn't really put up as much of a fight as I should have, because we thought it was double elimination, and that there was 2 other guys. So I'm like, okay, first match, I don't really have to worry too much about, right? I can get the nerves out. And so he's a bit of a judo guy, so he got Sotogari on me into a Kimura, into Maracana. And I was like, I didn't really put up the takedown. I was like, okay, he got me. Then he got my arm, and I was trying to get out of there. I'm like, okay, whatever. And then the ref's like, okay, good match, first and second place. And I'm like, what? Where's the other guy? And they're like, no, there were no shows. It's just you 2. And then the guy who won, right? The guy that just won, he's like, can we do best out of 3 then? Like, we paid for this tournament. He's already won. He doesn't care. He wants to have more than spend 3 hours waiting to do one match.
That's
kind
cool.
of thing, right?
I would have taken that gold and ran.
Yeah, really.
I would have walked straight out.
Well, he would have.
But the ref was like, no, that's it, we're done. And we're just like, really? Like,
man.
Give the crowd what they want to see.
Yeah, that's it.
Man, well, like, we've been chatting for, I think, probably hour and 40 minutes, something like that.
Yeah.
I reckon we've got another same again probably for another day.
Yeah.
Sure.
We're hoping to have Ken on.
He's a great guy. Yeah.
Anything we should ask him, do you think, or?
You know what? You ask him about his clothing, his gear, how that all came around, because that's actually pretty cool, pretty funny story, to be honest. But it's really interesting to see how just having an idea just ends up being now his main business, right? And it's purely just organic, right? Like he had an idea to make gear because he didn't see any out that he liked, and then now it's huge. And his whole training in the middle of nowheres and his use of social media is just crazy, right? Like I don't know if you guys know, but where he lives, it's 4 hours at least to the next city where there's gyms, right? So he's literally in the middle of nowhere, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Did he do? Didn't he do you a bespoke singlet?
Yes, yeah. My singlets are all my all my no-gi gear is from him, or the rash guards are from Globetrotters. But yeah, I bugged him for I think 6 months about doing wrestling singlets, and I just publicly harass him on all his posts. Because he daily promotes his clothes, right? So every day he's reposting all his clothes, and every day I'd be like, "Oh, it'd be cool if this was a singlet, bro," and this just kept bugging him. And then everyone else, like other people, are seeing it, and they're like, "Yeah, that'd be awesome." And then finally, after so many months, I got like a private message from him. He's like, "I'm looking into it now, okay?" Like, so
please stop. I'm looking
yeah,
into it.
exactly. Right? And then after that, like, yeah, the whole Bam Bam Bigelow Flames idea, I had to make that myself, like make that design and then send that design to him. You know, yeah, I keep bugging about other ideas too. You know, it's he's crazy enough to go along with my ideas. So
yeah, it's awesome.
and now, like as soon as he started the singlets, I don't know how many orders he got.
I bet it's a lot.
I bet there's a lot.
So, you know, I kind of feel bad for the work I've made him have to do, but I kind of don't, because it's worth it.
I'm sure he doesn't mind.
Yeah.
No, it's all fun, right? So, yeah, I definitely have to talk with him about that stuff.
That's going to be good. Yeah, it's gonna ask about the how they manage to train as well as they do as well. You know, it seems like he's got a smaller group of guys, and so there's a few interesting things there really with just training, because he's like, I've been following him on Instagram for quite a long time, and just the I know there's a few guys. Judo Chris, shout out Judo Chris at our gym, is a massive fan of Kent Peters' stuff. So like he messages him all the time, and he's like, he responds, he tells me this and that. I'm like, okay, I think because he always says, "Oh, I'll message everyone who messages me," and so he must do. And
he's a very genuine guy, right? I think especially in jiu-jitsu, you can tell pretty easily if people aren't genuine, right? Like, everything comes out on the mats, right? On how someone is. And I think that's kind of like the common baseline of what makes Christian and Kent both successful in what they're doing is genuine, right? Like Christian genuine, like actually wants to just have a fun trip, right? And have, go somewhere he wants to see and train with people he wants to train with, and just invites everyone else, right? Same with Kent. Kent just wants to do great jiu-jitsu and have cool clothes, right? And
his jiu-jitsu looks sick as well. Like,
very motivated.
Really good. Well, where can everyone find to follow you? Social medias?
So Panda's Odyssey, right? At Panda's Odyssey on Twitter and Instagram, and you can find me on Facebook. I have my site, pandasodyssey.com. I've got to get back into it. I haven't posted anything in months.
But you will do after this. So if you're listening to this, go check it out.
Yeah.
I think the map is actually down. I used to have a map. I had all the gyms around the world I've been to. So I have to fix that back up.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Pandasodyssey.com at least has the click from my my photos from all the places I've been to, that I've trained at, and it's on YouTube as well. So yeah, I'm out there. Just look up Panda's Odyssey on anything, you'll find
Check it out.
Yeah. The next time you're in England and you're down in sunny old Kent, you're more
Oh,
than welcome to come and train with us, my man.
Yeah, we'll find you somewhere to stay. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I do want to go back, so I might take you up on that.
Awesome.
Sure.
We'll have you on again for a part 2 because I'm sure there's a lot more
Yeah.
to tell about these stories. So
Yeah.
it's great to have you on again.
That'd be awesome.
Cool. It'd be a lot of fun. Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Awesome.
Thank you for coming on. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Oof.
Oof.